Hi, kindergartners. For our station today, you're not going to need any worksheets, but you are going to need the craft packet that came from your smiley face bag. You're going to need a little bit of water, some glue, and notice I'm not using a glue stick this time. I'm using the kind of glue you can pour, that's liquid glue. And you either need to have a paintbrush, a small art paintbrush that you can use and then wash out really well, or you need to have maybe a few squares of toilet tissue or a paper towel that I can show you how to use like it's a paintbrush, or you can use something like some Q-tips. So I'm going to show you a couple different options we can use for today. All right, kiddos, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up our package. And when you do that, you want to be kind of careful because there are some tissue paper pieces in here. And one thing I know about tissue paper pieces is because they are so light, they can just kind of fly all over with just moving the air a little bit. You don't want a big mess. Now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take out our directions. And these are going to be very useful for us because they're going to show us what our turkey, that's what we're going to make today, is going to look like when we're all done. Okay, here we go. And I'm also going to take out these two pieces. They're a little bit breakable looking, aren't they? I can see mine are even a little bit stuck to the package because a little bit of the backing started to come off. So I'm going to kind of carefully separate those. So I have two of these. Those will come at the end of the project. And then I've got some turkey pieces. And one of the things I'm going to do, and this is going to be part of our lesson today, is I'm going to be sorting my tissue paper squares. And we'll talk about what it means to sort. Now, can you see this, please? It might be very difficult to see because it's clear. You can look right through it and I can still see it. Well, really, I can't see you, but if you were there, I could see you. I'm pretending. I'm going to put that in a safe spot. And then I've got some more foam pieces. Now, some of my foam pieces need to be separated. I'll show you. These are this piece we're going to need, the large round circle we're going to need, the wing-shaped pieces are keepers. There's a little piece of twine in here. I'll show you what that's for towards the end. And then we've also got a second wing. This piece right here, that's a scrap. That's garbage. We can get that out of the way. All right. Oh, look at guys. There's an oval, a tan colored oval. Oh, look at this. This is going to be probably the wobble on the turkey. I can see his or her beak. It's got a little piece of tissue stuck to it. I'm going to move over. All right, now I'm going to move this down to show you a little bit about the sorting. All right, now see how I have all these different colors? When we sort, we can sort by shape, but all of my squares today are the same shape. They're all squares. They all have four sides, four corners. I could call them a quadrilateral, but they're still a square. So I'm going to sort by color instead of shape. I'm going to put my red tissue paper squares together. I'm going to put my blue ones together. I'm kind of lucky because they're grouped close to each other. I wonder if yours are all mixed up or if they're kind of close. Mine are kind of in chunks. So I'm still sorting by color. And sorting's really useful. It's useful when we're organizing collections, maybe even when we're organizing money in our wallet or our purse, because then we don't lose it. We can know where it is and count it easily. Maybe you have some nails and screws out in the garage. Maybe they're sorted into little drawers or compartments. So there's all kinds of things. We can sort our clothes. When we're doing laundry, we can put the dark colored clothes together and the light colored clothes. A lot of times our family likes to take the fuzzy stuff out and wash it separately. We have to sort it so we don't have things all fuzzballed, and it's just a lot of work to fix that up. All right, so now I've got my little bag. I'm going to put some of my garbage in there. All right, boys and girls. Now, The big step with this is going to be making what we're going to call our tissue paper glaze. So it's going to kind of be like watery glue is actually what it is. So I'm going to take a little bit. I'm using a throwaway paper plate. You can use like a little bowl or a container, but then you have to wash out really well. And you don't want the glue to dry in there because then you're going to have a really yucky mess. So I'm kind of being a little bit lazy about it. I'm just going to use a paper plate that I can throw away when I'm all done with it. All right, so boys and girls, I'm going to first take a little bit of glue and I'm going to squeeze it onto the paper plate. Okay, I'm going to make a mixture. And, you know, it's kind of a little bit guessing how much to use. All right, I'm going to tip this down so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to take a small amount of water and I'm going to make the glue a really thin liquid. See right now, this is a thick liquid. See when I tip it down like that? See how the slow flow? That's got what the big kids call a higher viscosity. Yep, see it takes a long time for it to move. But after I mix the water in, I'm not going to want to tip it like this. Yeah. Have you ever gotten an ice cream from Dairy Queen called the Blizzard and they'll tip it real quickly because they're like, okay, it's so thick it's not going to fall out. And sometimes you get nervous like, no, don't drop my ice cream. But it doesn't usually drop out, does it? Well, after I put this water in here, I'm not going to tip it anymore. I'm going to put about a little less than half the amount of water that I have of glue. And then I'm going to stir it up. It's almost like I'm playing. Maybe you can ask your parent if you could help stir that up. What that's doing is it's making the glue really thin so that it's going to be really easy to use on our turkey. It's going to be like a stained glass window turkey. Do you know what a stained glass window is? Maybe you've been in a fancy building, or maybe you've been in a church, maybe a temple, something like that, and they'll have a window, but not like a see-through window. They'll have glass pieces that have been put together in a mosaic to make a beautiful picture. That's a little bit like what we're going to do today. See how that's kind of watery? I'm going to make it a little bit more watery, just a little bit. You don't want it too thin or it's going to be super messy. Okay, so I'm stirring that up, making it a faster flow. Yep, it moves around more quickly. All right, now I'm going to get my clear piece back out. And I'm either going to use, or you might use, I know I'm not going to use a paintbrush. I didn't get one out tonight. You're going to either use a paintbrush. You could use the Q-tips. You could just take a couple Q-tips right here and watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to start smearing it right on the clear piece, right? Now it's not so clear. It looks like it's smudged. Now if you don't have any Q-tips at home, you could take a few pieces of toilet paper and kind of fold it up. You could dab it in our mixture and then you could smear that on our clear piece. Okay, you could use a little piece of paper towel. You don't want it to be too big because then it's hard to move around. Now, you don't want to cover the entire, I just made a little mess, the entire clear piece right away because you'd have to work too quickly then. Now there's a decision to make. Remember how we sorted these we sorted these tissue paper squares? You need to decide, do you want to make your turkey feathers like one color at a time so that you've got the yellows with the yellows, the orange with the orange? Maybe you want to do it like a rainbow, like red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. That would look really pretty. Or maybe you'll choose to do it the way I'm going to do it. I think I'm just going to like make mine all different colors mixed together. So I'm going to put some oranges around here. And then I want to kind of spread the colors out. So then I'm going to put some purples around. Spread them out. Can you see what I'm doing there? I'm tapping them on there kind of lightly. All right, so It's okay if a little bit of tissue paper hangs off the outside so that you can get it all the way to the edge, but you don't want a whole big chunk hanging off because then it's going to be more work for you to trim it up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this whole thing, and that's what you're going to work on. It will take a little bit of time. You have to be patient. It reminds me of maybe a person who lays tile, taking time to cover the whole floor with tile. I'm going to add some more colors here, some blue, some purple, green. Okay, I'm thinking you either want to sort it by the color, or you want to really spread them out and not glump them up. Now look I'm adding some more of the glue because it's already getting dry, and I need to make sure it stays down flat. Yep, I am. I'm putting some of it right on top of the tissue paper that's already there because it's going to give it kind of a nice shine as it holds it down. Some of you may have worked with something called Mod Podge before. It's a lot like the glue and water mixture, but it's a little fancier. To sometimes people who are really crafty may have bought some of that and have some of that around. Oh, look, I don't want to forget the R-E-D. What color is R-E-D? Red, very good. Maybe we should practice some more of our color words. Right now these are really sticking, so I'm going to try to spread them out a little bit. So, did you start with G-R-E-E-N? How many of you started with G-R-E-E-N? All right, Benjamin, what am I talking about? Did you start with green? Maybe some of you did. I know Hunter's favorite color is red, so I wonder if he went for red first. Let's see. Oh, look, I put a red next to red. Maybe I'll put an orange in there now, too. Is this reminding you more and more of those stained glass windows we talked about? Almost kind of helpful right now. I had just a tiny bit of glue in my finger, and it helps me pick up that piece. Yeah, yep, it's not bothering me at all, Tommy. Tommy's hanging out over here as we do this. Should have asked Tommy if he wanted to make the turkey with me. All right, so we're going to add a little bit more. I'm going to keep going. And then when you do this at home, you might want to do it in a little bit of what we call stages, right? Remember the other day our vocabulary word was process, and we talked about how a process has different steps to it. Because what happens is before you can put your turkey in, you want it to dry. If you leave this all wet, your stickers aren't going to stick to it very well, and then they might come off, and you might be disappointed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish putting some of these on, and I'm going to let some time pass. That means I'm going to shut off the video for a couple minutes, maybe a little more than a couple minutes. I'll finish putting these on. I'll let it dry, at least dry a little bit. Then I'll come back and I'll show you the next steps. You know what that means? It means you might start this project in the morning, and then you might take a little break from it and finish it up after lunch or something like that. Sometimes there are steps to the things we do, and we can't just finish it right away. You know, something that's like that was always hard for Mrs. Finkel to wait for was painting. Like if I wanted to paint in my house, and I would get kind of like, oh, I just want to put another coat of paint on, another layer of paint right now. But sometimes when you're doing those projects, you can't. If you rush it, it doesn't turn out nicely. You have to be patient. There's no real way around it, no good way around it. All right, I'm going to show you a couple more things. See how I went all the way to the edges? Oh, look, I kind of missed a spot right there. So I'm going to take another tissue square, and I'm going to go get it. It's okay if they overlap a little bit. Oh, you want to know what overlap means? Overlap means it goes on top of each other some. You don't want it to be really thick on top of each other because they'll start falling off. They won't lay down nicely. But a little bit of overlapping is okay because then you know that you've covered up all the spaces. Now there's one more trick I want to show you before we take a break. And that next trick I want to show you is taking a little bit of the glue and water mixture and using it to smooth down the pieces that are already there. Yep, sometimes the ones you put on top are a little bit drier, and so you may have to go back and make sure the edges are a little bit glued down. What you don't want to do is put on so much glue that it's really watery. It would dry eventually, but it would take you a long time to wait for it, and you might get a little bit frustrated because probably you want to see how your finished turkey looks before too long. Yeah, especially since Thanksgiving is coming and you're going to want to use it to decorate, right? All right, well, those are some of the tricks. I'm going to pause this. I'm going to let it do some drying, and then we'll come back and we'll see the next steps. All right. Hi, kindergartners. I'm back. Now, the video just is going to keep going, but some time has passed. I've left a little bit of time for the tissue paper squares to start to dry, and I was getting a little bit anxious waiting for it. So I'm going to tell you what little trick I did that your parents can do, but you cannot do. It would have to be something that a grown-up would do for you if they can, if they have it available. I took the blow dryer and I put a little bit of light heat over the tissue papers, the wet tissue paper squares, because the air and the heat sped up the drying process, so it didn't take quite as long. Now, boys and girls, can you see how pretty that looks? Kind of like when the light shines through it. Yeah, it even looks better if we put it right by the light. I don't know if you can see it up there. Can you see way up there? Oh, I had to tip this one. All right. See how pretty that looks with the light shining through it? Yeah, that's kind of the same way it works with one of those stained glass windows to make it really beautiful. Now, remember we talked about trying not to let too much tissue paper hang off? Well, you might have a little bit of tissue paper hanging off. I do. So I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim it a little bit. Now, if it's still wet and you try to trim, it's going to be super tricky. You have to be careful because mine is a little bit what we would call tacky. You know what tacky means? It's not wet, but it's not completely dry either. So we have to be careful of that. I don't want to get it stuck on anything or make a mess. All right, so I trimmed it up just a little bit. Okay, I don't want to cut the plastic part. I just want to cut the little pieces of tissue that are hanging off. Okay, now's what I think is one of the trickiest parts. There's a couple things that have to happen now. One of them is I'm going to take this twine piece. Remember we talked about that? And I'm going to kind of loop it together because I want this to be a hanger so that I can hang this up by my window. Kind of like you can see in the background, I have a couple sun catchers I got from the store. Yeah, it's kind of like that, and that had a hanger on it so I can hang those up. Now, my next step is to take one of these two turkey-shaped foam pieces. I'm going to take the one that has the writing on it because right now I'm going to put the hanger on the part where it kind of sticks up a little bit, the tissue paper. I'm going to build my turkey on the smooth side because that's the side I want to look at more. So I'm going to peel off this backing. Might take a couple tries. Oh, it's coming off pretty well for me. Okay, now, you might not want to take the whole backing off at once. I just took off part of it, and I'm going to take the curved bottom part, the larger curve, and I'm going to line it up with the bottom of the tissue paper, the bottom of the turkey. Okay, let me show you that. I'm kind of smoothing this down. See how I've got some down? And now I'm going to see where this left off. I'm going to peel some more of it off because now I'm ready for it. Hopefully it won't take too many pieces to come off. Nope, it took some more, so I'm just going to put a little bit more down so I don't get anything stuck on it. Are you wondering if it's okay to have your grown-up help you with this part? Absolutely. This is a bit tricky. I know that when we made these in our classroom before, a lot of times one of the moms would be one of the helper people would be peeling these off, and then the kids could kind of tap it down as they peeled it off. We did one of these with Christmas trees one year, and I remember one mom peeling and peeling for us. Okay, I'm going to keep taking some down, letting it stick down as I peel it off. Okay, good. I'm getting a little bigger chunk this time. Okay, each of these little bumps is like the top of a feather, isn't it? Okay, now I had to move my turkey a little bit, and you can see that my twine piece came off. So what I want to do next is, before I stick all of it down, I'm going to want to line that back up. Sometimes you do something and you have to redo it a little bit. It's all part of working on something. Sometimes it doesn't all go perfectly smoothly the first time. Okay, now I'm going to stick down a little bit more, and then I'm going to take my twine piece. I'm going to put it right in there. I'm going to smooth it over there, and hopefully that'll hold it in place. It's not super duper strong. You don't want to tug on it. It's not like it's going to be, like super glue or something. Okay, I've got it almost peeled off. A couple little pieces are giving me a little bit of grief there. Yeah, we'll get that off. Alright, now, here's the thing. We did one of these, but you know what we've got to do? We have to put two of these on. Oh, I keep moving the wrong camera there. Okay, so I'm going to put it down on the edge. I'm going to hold it up so you can see what we have so far. Are you kind of seeing how this is going to look more and more like a turkey? That's the back side. This is the front. Now, you can go to the other side. You can take your other big piece. We'll see how well this one peels off for us. Can we do it? Let's see. Oh, it's going from both sides. That might go faster as long as I don't go too fast, because what I worry about then is sticking it to the other, sticking it to each other. And then that would not be fun. Peeling off pretty nicely. You hear it sticking to my fingers. Alright, a little bit more. Okay, look it. I've got the whole big piece. I'm going to start at the bottom again because I think it's easier to put that on. And I'm going to line it up with the large curve. Here I go. Alright, put it on kind of gently there. Okay, I'm going to take one side, smooth it around, trying to line it up. Now this I got a little tricky. Whoops, I kind of tore it. So what I'm going to do, go back to this other side, done a little bit at a time. A little bit at a time, lining up these small curves. Okay. Go real slowly. Slow and steady wins the race on this one. Around the curves. Now this is kind of like every now and then when we're cutting something out at school and someone will say, oh no, it ripped. I'll say, it's okay because you're gluing down two pieces anyways. That's how it's going to work on this, the way mine ripped a little bit, because I think it'll just match up in the end, and we'll most likely not know very much that happened. Alright, so I'm going to take this edge piece, I'm going to line it up. Yeah, not perfect, but it's okay. Still bright and colorful. There we go. Alright, boys and girls, can you see? Now it looks a lot like a turkey. You have the whole outline. All right, now, you want to make sure this is pretty dry before you lay it down. Mine's plenty dry enough. So now I'm going to build the turkey. Okay, this big brown circle, B-R-O-W-N, is going to be the body of the turkey. So I'm going to peel off the white backing, and I notice, yeah, oh, look at this. I could probably take these turkey feet, put them right down at the bottom. See how that tab is there? Then I'm going to take the turkey's body and use it to hold that tab down, just like that. It's almost like it has its own glue or something because of the sticky on the back of it. And then I'm going to next, oh look at, this is like this, the turkey's tummy, right? I'm going to peel this off. And I think it's going to look best to put the oval in a way so that the curves are at the bottom. To me, that looks like how the feathers would be. Put it right at the bottom. I'm going to put it up a little bit to outline it. I think it's time for the wings. How many wings do we have? Yes, there's two. There's a right wing and a left wing here today, isn't there? All right, so we want the curve again, the larger part of the curve at the bottom. This one's really on here. By the time we're done with this, our fingers are going to be good with dealing with sticky stuff, aren't they? So this is going to be its left wing on this side. And then, see how I have the larger part at the bottom? This is going to be the turkey's right wing. On this side. What does it need now? It needs a head. We don't want it to lose its head, do we? Now, this part right here is like the neck of the turkey. And that's going to go on the top of the circle. Did you already guess what these two spots are? Yes, you have. Those are the eyes. Now I'm going to have to trim that up a little bit. It's time to add the beak. And the beak has something attached to it called the wobble. So let's put that so the big part kind of hangs down a little bit. Kind of. Yeah, all right. So we're going to put it on like this. And there we go. There is our happy Thanksgiving turkey, just like that. You can hang it up in the window. Maybe your parents will want to put it hanging on a doorknob or something like that, on the cupboard if you have one of those. And it can be something to kind of welcome anyone who is enjoying Thanksgiving with you. Oh, sometimes parents like to write the year on the back. I don't know if any of us will ever forget 2020, but just in case, they might put your name and 2020 on there. Sometimes it's really fun if you can write your own name. You might have to write it down here then because it's such a small amount of space. And then you say, oh my goodness, look how I used to write my name. And you know that you did this way back in 2020. All right, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed doing a little bit of sorting with your colors, following a process to get a job done. And that, yep, you had to have a little bit of what we call delay gratification. You had to wait for a little bit in between before you could finish up. So there's lots of little lessons we could learn with our Thanksgiving turkey. All right, boys and girls, I bet you they look great. I can't wait to see them when we're live in our class. All right, great work.